friends at Tivoli Brewing Company and the Department of Communication Arts and Sciences at MSU Denver, this is Unfiltered. And here are your hosts, Jay Schrader and Dr. Samuel J.
How you doing? You good?
I'm good. I'm good.
So you've got a day job, you said. So that's
I do have a day job. It's in higher ed, so we are really busy right now.
So wait, what do you do?
So I do academic programming at the ILIF School of Theology, which is a graduate theology school, and I work in the dean's office. So I do I contract adjuncts and I do course scheduling and work with the faculty. So we are right now, we're in an okay position because 60% of our students live outside of Denver, and they do hybrid distance classes. So things aren't totally messed up for us. Our students are used to learning and working online, but it just means that for the staff, instead of being in the building, we are on Zoom pretty much all day. So
does that mean okay, I'm a professor at Metro.
Oh,
so,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I understand. And I'm in the same place. Like my classes are all online because we've been trying to get public speaking online for 3 semesters, and I've been heading that up. And so it's easy for me. Like the transition's easy.
Yes.
I've got it all figured out. But are you having to get rid of affiliate faculty?
Not right now. We're able to teach. So we have full-time tenured faculty, and then we have in any given school year anywhere from 20 to 30 adjuncts.
Okay.
We have money to pay them for, and we're in a trimester system. Essentially, it's a quarter system. But so everybody's able to teach this spring, which is good. So far, we are business as usual. It's just that staff aren't allowed to be in the building for another until at least mid-May. I assume probably until the end of the school year.
I went to DU for my PhD. So where's your office? Is it over off of a university then?
It's at ILIF and University. So you know where Lamont is?
Yeah.
It's right across. It's right across from the those front doors at Lamont.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for still doing this. I appreciate it. I am wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt because this is what I've been doing all day.
I had to put on a bra and a sweatshirt for you today. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this.
No, I get it.
I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get dressed. I'm gonna pretend like I'm going somewhere.
I'm gonna be totally frank. I appreciate your mission statement. I've got 3 daughters. I've got a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 6-week-old. So I think this is now we're committing to brewing beer over the next 6 weeks because we're gonna have to. And I told them that we would try it. Like I was like, okay, let's make some beer. Basically, a science experiment. So yeah, we're gonna try it. My wife and all my kids are supporters of this little project that I do. So thanks for jumping on.
Heck yeah. And it's great to have girls, teaching girls how to homebrew at a young age it's the way to do it.
Wait, is it, we can be totally like honest. Is that question super annoying? Like, what's it like to be a woman in brewing? Because I remember the ladies at Odd 13 were like, don't ask that question, please.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's getting annoying because at first I was like, I understand it's an important question. Sorry, my cat, this is Basil.
Yeah,
and
he, my pug's on the floor, so she's
he has been a part of every video meeting I've been in this week. He really has. So yeah, it was, when we first started getting a lot of interviews, this was a question we were asked all the time.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, it's good to answer it because there still aren't that many women in brewing if you look at, overall. And there certainly aren't that many women there's plenty of women in the industry who are doing sales and marketing, communications, stuff like that. There aren't a lot of female brewers. And so I knew that and there aren't many breweries. There's only 2% of breweries in the United States that are owned solely by women. So I get why this question is asked and important to people. And in Lady Justice, we had female brewers and female owned. So we were very, very really niche in this question.
Yeah. We're just going to go to them and ask them questions. Then we're checking.
Yeah, and so it's just been interesting. The last 2 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 interviews with people trying to write something about women in brewing for Women's History Month, and I'm just like, stop it! Like, there's so many things you could ask me about that isn't about what's it like to be a woman in brewing, And so it is getting a little tired after answering the same question for about 4 or 5 years. I'm like, okay, it's time. So my answer now has been like, so I'll get a question that's like, what sort of hurdles do you have to overcome to be a woman in brewing? And I'm like, I don't have hurdles to overcome. It's like everybody else who has an issue with me being a woman who's brewing, that like, go find them and ask them.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they will start asking men how it is being a man in the brewing world. And
where's your beer, by the way?
Where my beard? Is that what you said?
Beer. Where's your beer?
Oh, I thought it was my beard. Yeah. My beer.
There you go.
I'm digging deep into the cellar.
You have to.
Can I show you? So I'm doing this from my bar. I wanted to change a pace. So.
I know. I noticed your popcorn ceiling. I also have that. Yes.
Yeah. This is this wild bar that.
Oh my God.
The house that we bought. Yeah, and this was my great grandpa's. It was in his like. Man, Ben.
So cool.
Isn't that cool? So anyway, I am coming at you from my Montgomery Ward refrigerator, and it's getting sort of empty. But I'm gonna grab this one from Prost.
Nice.
Their white beer, which is really good. So we'll drink that today.
Perfect.
Yes.
So, what do you? I mean, let's talk about the history of Lady Justice, and then we'll get into what's going on now. Okay, so you and your partners, who are the partners? Who are the folks in this with you?
So Lady Justice was founded by Jen Cuesta, Kate Power, and myself. Okay. We were AmeriCorps Vistas together. So we were volunteering. You're basically a professional volunteer we did it for 2 years. You do capacity building for nonprofits. So we were helping an education-based nonprofit do basically school community service learning-based curriculum. We were trying to get that into schools, which was what we were doing. And it was in the middle of the recession. And as Vistas,
where were you to do that? Sorry.
We were out of Arvada. I live in Arvada. We were about a mile. We were working about a mile away from my house right now. Okay. And if Basil gets really annoying, I can put him upstairs. So we were working out of Arvada doing this work. It was in the middle of the recession, and it was so hard to raise money for this organization that was really cool and should be an easy organization to raise money for, but no one had money. Okay. And then we as Vistas, you make the poverty level of the city that you're serving in. And so we were making $10,000 a year. So we barely had money to do anything with, but we would take our money and go to Vine Street about, I don't know, once or twice a month and drink and just complain about how hard this work was. Okay. And finally, Jen was just like, look around this place. Everybody here is spending their money on beer. We're in the middle of a recession. We are essentially living in poverty right now, and we're still finding ways to scrap our money together to have a beer. Like, what would it be like if people would use their beer money to help nonprofits? And so that was sort of the beginning of it. Kate and Jen left Denver to go to law school. That was in 2000.
Sorry, you got to see my daughter. If you show me your beer fridge, there's my oldest.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
There we go. We're doing an interview. This is Miss Betsy. She's a brewer. She makes beer. So we're going to do that over spring break, okay? All right. All right, I'm going to finish this interview. Then I'll come up, make dinner, okay?
What's her name?
Iris.
Iris. That's cute.
Yeah. Iris, Odette, and Theodora. Those are my 3.
Oh, my gosh.
What's up? 1 second. Sorry, Betsy. Okay, when I'm all done. Okay. They're getting stir crazy.
I know. And it's like only like we're at day 5 right now.
I know.
And I don't have kids. Like, my wife's upstairs. We have 2 cats and a dog. And I'm like, this is I do a video call with my nephews every day.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law is just like, oh my gosh. And she's a teacher, so she has to go back and teach music online to elementary school kids next week. And I was like, I'm sorry that I can't help you.
Does she have to go in to do it?
No, it's all going to be somehow virtual.
Mm.
But anyway, so Kate and Jen left Denver to go to law school in 2011. And I kept working in Denver. And Kate called Jen and I one day, and she was just like, hey, I'm in this law class and we have to do some business law and we have to come up with like a business plan. Do you mind if I use that brewery idea we had talked about and just like get some feedback on it? And I honestly, I barely remembered this was an idea at all. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so she got some really good feedback from her law professors and from her classmates. And she came back to Jen and I, and she's like, I think this could actually work. Like, I think a philanthropic brewery could really do well. And so they both graduated from law school and moved back here in 2014. And we sort of hit the ground running with business plan and with, I know, Basil. So we hit the ground running with the business plan and just home brewing. They came back, they didn't have jobs. I was working 3/4 time, and I eventually got laid off from that job because we were still in the recession at that point. Well, I guess tail end of it. And so we had a lot of time together, and we just brewed and just talked and worked through this idea. And then we did some fundraising in 2015. We didn't want to put ourselves into debt for this, so we started small on purpose. We bought a 1.5 barrel system and brewed out of 300 square foot space across from Lakeside Amusement Park, and sold our first beer memberships. That's how we sold our beer, because we didn't have enough room for a tap room.
Mm-hmm.
So we did this membership model where people pay for a membership and pick their beer up once a month. So we launched that in 2016 and we've just sort of been on the go ever since then.
How'd you promote that? How'd you promote the membership thing?
Yeah, we weren't sure if it was going to work because nobody had really been doing a membership model for beer in Denver that we could find.
Mm-hmm.
The state of Colorado didn't even really know if it was legal or not. Then we were like, can we actually do this? And they were like, honestly, I don't know. We'll just tell you. If something seems illegal, we'll just let you know. And so we got together a group of friends, probably about 15 of our friends, and we sampled the beer with them and we laid out our business plan, and we're like, listen, we're not asking you to give us money.
Mm-hmm.
What we're asking you to do is get the word out about this. So we were doing an Indiegogo fundraiser, crowdsource fundraiser for this. And so basically our first memberships came out of those people, a lot of those people who had given us money in the Indiegogo campaign. So through our fundraising, we were able to gather a pretty good base of people who could spread the word. And then we got some good media about it. Some local places wrote about us, and it really did take off right away. When we did our fundraiser, we wanted to raise $15,000. Internally, our goal was $20,000. We hit that $15,000 in 7 days, I think.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, so people do want to do this. And so I had no idea if people were actually going to buy memberships at first, because we sold them all online. We did not have a place for people to come in and check us out like you do a tap room. It's not like they could try the beer before they were going to buy it. Like people just had to trust us. And our first round, we wanted 75 members, and we got 75 members. And I was like, oh, okay. So people want to do this. And then every membership round that we did grew a little bit more.
Where does that model come from? Where does that membership model, like, where does that idea even begin? Because I don't know anything about it. It was funny because we've been talking about it. I talked to Josh Bernstein today, who's the New York Times craft beer writer, and he was like, yeah, maybe that's the next thing that we have to do to kind of deal with this. But is that a European thing, like, at all?
We stole it from farm models. So communities where to get supported agriculture. Kate, Jen, and I had all had farm shares when we were in AmeriCorps because it was a pretty cheap way for us to split a produce bill with each other.
Okay.
So we would all go in on, like a $75 membership, and we would get fresh produce all summer long.
Oh, shit.
And so when we were trying to figure out, we're like, okay, our space is tiny. We don't have the ability to have a tap room. Like how do we even sell this beer? We asked the state many, many times if we could do a beer truck, like a food truck, and they told us no many, many times. So we were just like, okay, do we do pop-up events? Like, we really racked our brains. And then Kate was like, what about a CSA model? Like,
Wow.
we're licensed here, we can do to-go beer. Like, what if people just signed up for is it basically a bottle club, just sort of marketed a little bit differently. And really that membership has carried us. We grew out of that tiny space in about 2 years. We shared taproom space with Factotum for about 9 months. And so we had 2 or 3 taps. So after we grew out of our tiny little space, we moved in with Factotum, and we took over 2 or 3 of their tap lines at any given time, but we still kept the membership model going. And then now we're trying to have a grand opening for our tap room. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, our only way to do this right now is to go back to our membership model. So we're like still amidst all of this scary time for a lot of breweries and a lot of small businesses. Like, this is nothing new for us right now.
I was going to say, you know what to do, but we
know what to do. We have a built-in model. People know, our fans know about the memberships. They're used to them. They feel really comfortable, pre-ordering the beer, and they get really excited about the releases that we're going to do. And so I was just like, this is just so funny that we have spent the last year really looking for a space and really trying to grow and expand, and so excited to open a tap room eventually. Like, we're still very excited for that, but I was like, this is hilarious that our big grand opening is essentially just a big version of what we've been doing all along. So
that's a good way to put it, for sure.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little bit of I do feel lucky because there aren't a lot of breweries that are positioned with the same sort of built-in membership crowd that we have. And so we've had, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had essentially a to-go beer crowd. And so I feel lucky that we have that. And I feel lucky that we've had this, a pretty good, like, people were really excited when we announced the taproom opening. So we're lucky that a lot of people have been paying attention to us in the last month or so anyway. And so I feel lucky that we are in a position that not a lot of other breweries are in right now. And so I feel for them, because I don't know what I would do if I was in their position. I just don't, I'd be so scared. And I'm still a little bit scared. I mean, honestly, because our lease went into effect on March 15th, and then that dine-in and drinking ban hit, I think, March, when was that, 18th? So I was like, oh, cool. Paying rent is going to be super fun now. And
this last week it's just gone so slow.
Yeah,
like
I know. And then every day there's something new. Like, right now there's murmurings of, delivery beer, but the guild is waiting to get the okay that breweries are in that. So it's like, a week ago no one would dream of having a brewery deliver beer to your door. Now we're like, oh, maybe that can happen.
It makes you think just how arbitrary some of these laws are.
The number of times I've said money and regulations are not real this week. Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the only, like, such a huge industry. I say we, I don't mean to say we, but I mean, I feel like I'm kind of part of it. Just a massive industry in the state. And as soon as it's threatened, you figure it out. Like, okay.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you don't adapt, you're going to die. And if Colorado cannot afford for the craft beer scene to fall apart, just can't. Like, no. I mean, these are not fact-checked, quotable things that I'm saying right now, but I think I remember on the news this morning they were saying something like 70,000 people applied for unemployment, like, overnight. That might have been a federal number. And I think in Colorado, it was just like the first day that they had it open, it was like 4,000 people are applying.
It crashed the website.
Yeah. And it's just like, you can't this is not okay. Like to have somebody's whole livelihood and well-being pulled out from under them literally in like just an instant, like the day before they had jobs and now they don't.
Had you hired people already for the tap room?
No, that's another place where we were sort of lucky. So we've hired a head brewer. So Kate and Jen have full-time lawyer jobs, and so with the opening of the tap room, it really felt like they weren't going to be able to do the full-time work needed to run the tap room. So they're going to keep doing the membership stuff and events, but I'm going to come on full-time and run the business side of things. And so with that, I decided I needed to hire a brewer because I don't think that I could have managed brewing and.
Sorry, it's my other child.
Oh, it's okay.
There, you're going to see her. No, you want to see my kids, but okay. There you go. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, that's Betsy.
Hi.
Miss Betsy. Okay, so yeah, I'll come up. We're done.
Okay, it's a hiding spot. We're sleeping down there tonight, so we're still getting.
You're going to sleep downstairs?
And yeah, and we're going to time the clock.
Okay. All right.
We're going to feed you.
Okay, sounds good.
We're going to feed her dinner.
Okay, I'll be right up. Yes. Yes, thank you. I love you both. You've been very patient. Just go. I'll be right up. Honey, please go upstairs. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So you had not hired anybody yet, but okay.
Yeah, so we decided to bring on a head brewer so that I could do the business side. And so we've brought on Amy Sodi, who was the head brewer and director of operations at Renegade for a while. And she had to take a step back because of some health stuff, but now she's able to brew again. And she was sort of volunteer brewing with us when we were sharing space with Factotum. And so we're still keeping her on. She's still brewing for us. But again, we were in this lucky position where I knew that we couldn't pay her full time until after the tap room opened. So we still have another month or two before I really have to worry about being able to pay her a full-time salary. And she's being really great about it and very understanding. And we hadn't brought on, we have somebody who's going to sort of apprentice and learn brewing from Amy and also do some of our tap room shifts and sort of a tap room manager. And she's also really not, we weren't really planning again on having her jump in until later. And so again, we were just in this lucky position where the timing could have been worse for us, I guess is the best way to put it. So so we're not having to lay anybody off, but we're also not having to cut any big checks right now. So I think that might be why we could survive this, is because our overhead is still fairly small. I mean, we just bought a ton of brewing ingredients, so we have bills to pay, and we have, rent and utilities and all that overhead that everybody has, but we're not having to unemploy anybody right now, which is good.
So do you think, I guess, like, as this, I don't want to say blows over, this is not blowing over, this is a bigger thing, but I mean, is the subscription model something that we need to look at, you think?
I think so. Okay. It's worked beautifully for us. It really has. So part of the really beautiful thing about our subscription membership model is that when we were tiny and first starting out in our first 2 years, we had a 1.5 barrel system. Mm-hmm. We were in 300 square feet of space, and none of us had we did not go into debt for this. We had zero debt.
Wow.
And we were all working full-time jobs. So and that's why I do always try to let people know that, like, we were in a pretty privileged position to be able to do this work voluntarily on nights and weekends. Not everybody has the ability to do that. And so, but with that, with our memberships, people paid for it up front. So we had all of the money that we needed to brew up front. Right. And so so we had all the money that we needed to brew up front, and we had all of the money that we wanted to be able to donate out in our grants and our scholarships. And so
how much,
just like,
how much do you get for a subscription? Like when you first started, what can you just like, I can't even wrap my mind around it.
Yes. Yeah, so when we first started, I think the first 2 rounds that we did, they were 6-month-long memberships.
Okay.
And so people paid, I don't even remember, 120-ish, 120-ish bucks, something like that, for a 22-ounce bottle.
Okay.
Of beer. And then when we would have time to do experimental batches, we would include a 12-ounce bottle of a test batch when we could. So they were getting anywhere from 22 to, what's that math, 40-ish, 38-ish bottle of ounces of beer every month. Okay. And what we would do is we would, because they could come into our little room and pick up the beer from us, so we would brew their next month's beer on the pickup days. So they would come and pick up their beer on Sunday, and we'd be brewing the batch that they would be getting the following month. So they got to see us making their beer. They got to hang out and chat a little bit. So we really got to know everyone. Like, we consider our CSB members as part of our like Lady J family. And we've had members who have been members since day one who are still with us today.
Who were these people?
The funny thing is, a lot of them we didn't even know. I would say at least half of them were total strangers to us when we started. A lot of them were just craft beer enthusiasts who had heard about us, who got excited. Other people were people connected to nonprofits that maybe we had worked with in the past who had gotten wind of it. Some were our friends and coworkers, which was great too. But I would say most of the people there were people we had never met before. And so, yeah, I think the membership subscription model is really, really smart, because you're not dependent on constantly bringing people into a tap room. Like having to shut down the tap room for 2 or 3 days because of a blizzard isn't something we've had to worry about before. We'll have to worry about it in the future when we open up a tap room, because we're really depending on that income. But we will continue our membership model. So there's always going to be known money there, and we're always going to know how much beer to brew for those memberships. So that's why I really like it, is you're in control of your quantities. So as we grew, I think our first memberships, there was 75 people, and then we grew to 100, and then we grew to 125, and we were like, okay, 125 is the most we can handle on this system and in our schedule. So like, we can't get bigger than this. So it allowed us to say like kind of small and do really exclusive small batch beer. So like, people were really getting into being able to have beer that nobody else could have, which on a grand scale, that's not really what Lady Justice is about. Like, we're about community and opening wide the doors for everyone. But the super beer nerds really liked that they got to drink beer that nobody else had, because it's cool. It is cool. Yeah. And then we got to learn from them about what they liked and what they didn't like, and what worked and didn't work. And so it was just this really special thing. And when we were in a tap room sharing space, they would still come on Sundays and pick up their beers and like sit down at the bar and have a beer and just like catch up. And so they really are our friends now, and we know all about them. We know what they're doing for work. We know their kids will come in and pick up beer too. The kids don't pick up beer, but the kids come with them to pick up beer, and we learn about what their kids are doing in school and what they did for over the summer. And so it's just really wonderful. It's a great way to just get to know your community. And then they're also really in tune with the money that we donate. And a lot of times they'll suggest stuff to us, and they'll say like, hey, like, I heard about this nonprofit the other day. I think they would really benefit from some money. We had one that was really cool. We did, when we were in, when was that? 2018, the first membership round that we did after we moved in with Factotum, we decided to focus. It was right around election time. So this must have been, when was it though? It was after the 2016 election. So, but anyway, something big was going on. And so we decided to focus on like civil rights and being able to, being able to vocalize your your rights as a voter. So we wanted to donate money to organizations that fell in line with that.
Okay.
And we found a class at Mitchell High School in Colorado Springs. They were trying to raise money to buy civics books for their classroom because they didn't have textbooks for their civics class. And their teacher had entered them into this cool civics, like national civics debate contest.
Okay.
And so he was like, I really want my students to get really excited about being a citizen and learning about civics, and I want them to go to this debate and really be able to nail it, and like we don't have books for them. So we bought their textbooks. And one of our CSB members, just totally randomly, was an alum of that high school. He had graduated from there, a couple of decades before, and he was just like, this is my high school. I'm so excited that you're doing this. And then he got in touch with the teacher, and he was like, what else do you need? I want to provide what I can. And so he was like, well, I'm also the girls basketball coach, and none of them have shoes. So he was able to buy shoes for the girls basketball team. So it was just like the thing just sort of, it just like, it snowballs. Like you start small and then things end up super big. And we like to have events when we do our membership rounds. We like to invite the nonprofits in to have a party so that people can get to know the people working at these organizations where their money is going to. And so like the nonprofits will get to know our CSB members, and it just becomes this really cool web that just continues to grow of people who all sort of care about similar things, and they just want to help their communities, and they want to be really they want their consumer dollars to be meaningful, so it just creates this really great opportunity to have people do something they were going to do anyway, which is go drink beer, and be able to put a little bit more meaning behind it, so it's just so cool. I think everybody should be doing it.
How do you decide where the money goes? Like, is that a conversation that three of you have, or is kind of?
Yes, and this model will grow as we open the tap room. We'll have more people helping us decide, but so far it's been Kate and Jen and I. Okay. The first 2 years that we did it, we had grant applications. So we have a youth grant, so girls 11 to 17 can fill out a grant form for a program that they want to participate in. And then we also have an organizational grant form. So we'll take the applications that people send in, and we'll go through all of them, and we'll say, this one's really speaking to me. This one, it doesn't seem like they were really paying attention or answering the question. So we go through an application process and narrow it down to a small handful, and then we spend a really long time looking through everything and picking the grant recipients. And it's always a rewarding experience. It's also hard because there are people we have to say no to that we really, really love a lot and don't. It's always hard to not have enough money to give away. And then the last 2 or 3 times that we've done membership rounds, we have sort of chosen a theme and picked nonprofits from that theme ahead of time. And that will allow our members to know before they buy the membership where their money is going. Okay. And both models have worked out really well. So we've seen a lot of really cool stuff come through our grant applications. And we've also seen people get really excited about the nonprofits that we've chosen. So last year we wanted to focus on women and girls in the arts. And so we gave money to Girls Rock Denver, and we gave money to Queens of Hip Hop. And so they were able to come into the tap room and just sort of show off. And Queens of Hip Hop did this really cool dance session for us where they're all breakdancing, and it was just so fun. And so people,
do they have to be here in Colorado? Sorry.
Yeah. So we're Colorado. Yeah. It's women and girls. It's organizations that work with women and girls in Colorado. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Continue. I was just wondering. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and so that's all really the only parameters that we put on it. So we have given to outdoor education. We've given to music-based nonprofits. We've given to, who else have we done? We've done, voter-based nonprofits. So we've sort of run the gamut on whoever we give to. So we try not to be very narrow in that. We just sort of kind of see what comes to us and what feels good at the time. So at this membership round that we're doing in lieu of our grand opening, we know somebody who works at the Aurora Mental Health Center, and they were saying how hard it is to have resources to educate the homeless population about COVID. Mm-hmm. And so that's what this money is going to go to. It's going to go to the PATH program at the Aurora Mental Health Center, so that the staff at the center have a little bit of money to help take care of homelessness during this time.
My word, Betsy, that is insane. Y'all are doing amazing stuff. Holy shit. All right, let me ask you on the kind of traditional questions we ask. What was the beer that changed everything for you? Why'd you get into craft beer?
Yes, I love answering this question. I grew up in St. Louis, where before.
Where? My wife.
I went to Clayton. Well, I got to tell you, I grew up in Chesterfield.
That's where my wife's from.
Central.
She went to Lafayette, Parkway South before that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Her dad was an AB executive. It's a long. We should have beers and talk about this.
Cool. That's hilarious.
You got a job. Yeah.
Can I tell you? You are the second or third podcast interview I've done where I found out in the podcast that somebody was connected to St. Louis. I was doing a podcast with a guy, and we went to the same high school, but years. I was just like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So wait, you went to Parkway what? Parkway?
So I was in the Parkway Central School District, but in 7th grade we moved to Clayton. Okay. So I went to Clayton High School. Okay. But my grandparents, my dad, and both all three of them taught at Parkway Central. My aunt was an art teacher, I think, in the Rockwood School District, and then it's just nuts. That
is crazy.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually knew, I think it was her. I knew the principal, the longtime principal at Lafayette High School was my summer camp counselor growing up. Yeah, just wild stuff. Yeah, so I grew up in St. Louis, where AB is the king of beers, and I don't know if I can actually say that without getting sued.
Sorry, my wife's texting me. She can hear me. Do you know any of the Beals? You heard of the Beals? Okay, or the Snyder. Well, Carrie Snyder played basketball. She was my wife's best friend. She played basketball at what's the D2 school there?
At SLU?
Not SLU. Out by the mall, the Chesterfield Mall. What's that damn Maryville?
Maryville.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyhow, continue.
Chris Snyder. How old is she?
Chris would have been. No, it's a he. Chris would have been.
Oh, okay.
Chris is probably 38.
Yeah, that's right. That's my age. I don't think I know. Anyway.
I know. I'm looking forward to having beers with you in person.
Yes. Yeah. We can talk about St. Louis all day. I love St. Louis. So anyway, I didn't know what craft beer was until I came to Denver. I came to Denver to go to University of Denver for my undergrad. And I was at a house party, and somebody handed me what I think was a Breckenridge Brewery honey ale. Mm-hmm. And I drank it, and I was like, this is disgusting. I don't understand why people would drink this. And so I went on my merry way and didn't really pay attention to craft beer. And then after I graduated from high school, I spent a season working at a lodge in Buena Vista, and I started drinking Fat Tire there because that's what they had on tap at the one bar in town, and I got hooked. So Fat Tire, like so many other people, Fat Tire was my gateway beer. And then from there, even at that time, so I graduated from University of Denver in 2004. Craft beer still hadn't really hit, even Colorado quite yet. I mean, there was not much. Belgium and Odell.
Yeah, maybe Dale's.
Dale's, yeah. And so I went back to St. Louis for a little while, maybe not even a year, and started paying a little bit more attention. So St. Louis has Schlafly, obviously, and that was about the only craft beer choice around at that time. But then I remember exactly where I was the first time I had a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I was at some arcade bar in South City of St. Louis, and I was like, what is this? What is this? What is this magical beer? So yeah, so that was like, yeah, so 2004, 2005 was really when I started getting, paying more attention to craft beer and understanding that there was more out there than Bud Light or Bud Select. I remember playing a lot of beer pong with Bud Select.
God, it's just so gross. I mean, we used to drive. I went to Iowa for undergrad, so I'm from Iowa, and we would drive to Wisconsin to get Michelob Golden Ultra because you get that's the only place you could get it. And people were like, "Oh, this beer is amazing." And then when you're in college, yeah, it is amazing. And then you have a Fat Tire was my first beer, and then Dale's, and it's like, no, this is what beer should taste like. So we're in a place where we're spoiled by it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, let's see. I don't have any other questions for you. I just feel like I should let you go. You've been so generous with your time. How do I?
Oh yeah.
I want to order shirts for my kids. Can I order some of those? Do you have kid sizes?
We don't, but I'll order some because we're doing a little bit of a branding relaunch. And so we're going to order new merch and all sorts of stuff to have ready for the tap room that is not yet going to open. So I'll be ordering new merch and stuff here pretty soon. Hopefully if we can hit our membership goal. The wild thing is because of this opening, we've had to be more ambitious with our membership goals than we ever had before. And so we're aiming, if we get 365 members, we'll be able to pay the rent and pay for all of the beer for until the end of April.
So what do you need from us? Like, tell me, email me, let me know.
All I'm saying is that if we have already exceeded, we've now officially sold more memberships than we ever have in any given membership round. People are responding to this really well. So all I'm saying is that people have this is such an important time for people to be able to have their consumer dollars actually really matter. And so shopping local as often as you can, get that to-go beer and food, pick up as much as you can and as safely as you can until it's not available anymore. Because at some point we're going to go on a lockdown, I'm sure, and it's going to be harder to get to this stuff. So, so anyone who's bought it, it does mean that we actually get to keep doing this and stay open. And so it's not really a plug for our CSB memberships, but it's really just a plug. If you have a brewery that you love that you do not want to see close in this time, and it's a very real possibility that a lot of breweries could close very soon. If you don't want to see that happen, please find a way to give them money, even if it's shopping for merch online or just sending them a check and saying, hey, I'll pick up beer later.
Do we go to your website to do that? You want us to go to your website? You want subscription? We've got plenty of friends up that way. So how do we do it?
Yeah. So ladyjusticebrewing.com /CSB will give you the direct link to buy. You'll get 4 25-ounce crowlers of beer for $60. And then we're also going to do, I think, 16-ounce to-go cans just open to the public. So members get 10% off their to-go cans. And then right now merch is 25% off, and we're going to keep that going. You can buy merch online. We're running low on stuff because we're going to rebrand and restock. Cool. But yeah, just go to our website, ladyjusticebrewing.com, and help us out however you can. And then hopefully, if all goes well, pickup orders start on April, I think 17th is when people can start picking beer up. Okay. And so come by after April 17th and pick up to-go beer, or swing by and buy a membership, because the membership beer is exclusive. Nobody else will get what you get until our tap room opens. So for the beer nerds, if you want beer that nobody else gets to drink right now.
Betsy, thank you so much. Let us know, send me an email, whatever you need, and we'll do our best to kind of support the cause. But thank you for what you're doing. Really appreciate it.
No, it's really important for girls to see that women can be brewers, and they can do, they can be a part of industries that haven't been friendly to women all the time. That's something we're trying to change. So it's always, anytime that we get to show girls and women that they get to be a part of this community just as much as anybody else, is something that we take pretty seriously. So I'm always happy to talk about talk about that stuff too.
Sweet. All right. Well, bye, Basil. Bye, Betsy. Have a good night. You guys be safe, okay?
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye, Betsy.